There are bigger games, but we are in the state of Texas, so I'd like to take a second talking about the University of Texas, because Steve Sarkisian, the new head coach, will be getting it rolling against the top 25 team. And that is Ucla, who is no longer Ucla. They used to be Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah.
They're now the University of Louisiana.
Raging Cajuns.
Which I think is a good idea, to drop the Lafayette. Because anytime you have a direction or an extra little city name tacked on the end, I think it makes it sound like you're not that good. So dropping that, I think, is the best thing they could have done. And I'm sure Texas fans already know this, but I don't know if the rest of the country does. Louisiana is good. The Raging Cajuns are good.
Yeah.
They were 10-1 last year. Their one loss was by 3 points to Coastal. So this is not a walk in the park for Steve Sarkisian. And Hudson Card, the new starter for, well, is he the new starter for Texas? Yes, but they say Casey Thompson's also going to play.
Sure.
But to me, the main attraction is Bijan Robinson, the monster running back at UT, and to see, can Texas cover the 8-point spread? I would bet the other way. I think Texas is going to win the game. But there's a reason that Louisiana is ranked in the top 25. They've got one of the hottest name coaches in the country, and they're pretty darn good.
Billy Napier, yeah, really good coach.
Good.
Yeah, he's done a nice job of he's a guy came from Alabama, and there were some talks and some whispers about him maybe moving on, much like what we've talked about at Cincinnati with Luke Fickell. You just don't jump jobs. These programs are these programs like Louisiana and Cincinnati and places like that, and Iowa State's another one. These ADs have a really good plan of how to hire coaches because they lose coaches. Their coaches go, somewhere else. Like I know
they've got a list that's better than everyone else's.
That's when you're at those programs, you have to. You have to know who the best assistants are in the country. Maybe you've got somebody on the staff that's really, really good that you want to bring because you want to keep things in order. But yeah, Billy Napier.
You got a guy like Broadus around who's creeping around in the hallways like, listen, Campbell's going to leave us soon, but North Carolina A&T, they've got a defensive coordinator.
I will say this about getting back to Louisiana, and they're not afraid of going to Austin and playing this football game. They're not. And the fact that, I know they're ranked,
one of the sneaky teams.
They're ranked 23rd in the country.
Yep.
This team's won their last 5 games. They're not scared about having to go on the road. I mean, they won at Appalachian State in their conference, beating like a team like Appalachian State. That's huge. Appalachian State.
App State is the team that you don't want to schedule.
You don't want to schedule them because they'll go beat Michigan or somebody like
that.
And
collect $1 million check on the way out. Thanks for paying us.
Yeah, these teams will say, oh, hey, by the way, thank you for the check and thank you for the win that you thought you were about to get.
Yeah. You thought you were paying us to come take a thumping.
This will be a tough game for Texas. This will be a tough game for both teams. It really, really will. I think it'll be a back and forth game. And I agree with you. The line being 9, I'd be a little nervous. I think Texas will win the game.
Oh, it's getting bigger. Yeah. It was 8.5 this morning.
Yeah.
Or 8.5. Yeah. The line's moving the wrong way.
Yeah.
Louisiana ain't no punk. Other big games. Bama playing Miami in week 1 in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I love that. You get brand new quarterback at Alabama, although they are Alabama. Mm-hmm. So they just reload every year. They're going to have, I think I said how many guys did I say they had in the top 100 players in college football? 10 of them.
10.
And it's like, how do you have 10 of them when you had 12 of them that just left? And the answer is they're Alabama.
Yeah.
But Miami brings back their quarterback. They're a top 15 team. They got De'Aaron King. Hopefully it's an entertaining game.
That's their hope right there.
Hopefully it's an entertaining game.
That's their hope right there. I think with Alabama, the thing about Alabama, they always play these games, these early season games. I think Nick Saban is 14-1 in Atlanta at the 2 stadiums that they've played, like the 2 different
I think
Atlanta
Nick
stadiums.
Saban has a pretty good record everywhere he plays.
Yeah, the only time he's ever lost a game there, I think he lost to Tim Tebow. That's the only time he's ever lost in Atlanta. So he's 14-1.
Tebow was a cheat code.
Yeah.
He's a child of God.
That's true.
Child of God.
That's very true.
But yeah, with the thing with Miami, I think it's always good when Miami college football to me is good when Miami's good.
Yes. Texas, Miami. I feel the same way about Florida State.
Yeah, with those teams that have that swag like that, you know, I mean, growing up watching Miami play, you know, and to me that was great. And not so much even the Jimmy Johnson, but you know, like Dennis Erickson, that crew. I mean, they had some really, really, really good teams. But when Miami's rolling, that's a lot of fun for college football.
Indiana at Iowa is number 17 at number 18.
Yeah.
Indiana's got a really fun quarterback too. I believe it's Michael Penix, and he is a really good player. And Iowa is just always Iowa. Like, hey, guess what we're going to do? We're going to be good on the offensive line and on the defensive line, and we're going to be able to run the ball. So that's a nice one. 2 top 20 teams right there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty kick-butt opening schedule.
Well, that is, yeah, it is. And I like what the Big Ten have done, Jeff. The Big Ten last year, I thought, got caught in a situation where they didn't have enough games at the end. And remember, we had to kind of bend the rules for Ohio State, where there are going to be enough wins because of the COVID games.
We deserved to bend the rules for them, though.
Well, the thing about it, though, too, now is you got some of these conferences that saying we're not rescheduling games. You're going to forfeit. If you don't have enough players to play, you're going to forfeit. We don't have time for rescheduling games.
Schedule is interesting. It's like Big Ten is the most... I don't know how else to say it than like COVID scared, where they're like, "Hey guys, we're going to jam in the good conference games. We're getting them in."
That's what I told you. They got trapped last year being late to the game, and so all of a sudden the SEC started earlier and they got all their games in. I mean, there were a couple that they had to move around there at the end, but for the most part they got them all in. But what's really nice about the Big Ten this year, we're seeing a lot of really good top 20 matchups: Wisconsin, Penn State, Indiana, Iowa. That Indiana last year beat a couple wins. First time they'd beaten Ohio State and Michigan in the same year and forever.
Well, yeah, their dual threat quarterback is really good.
Big time player.
And you mentioned it. Penn State is number 19 coming into the year. They'll be at number 12. Wisconsin. That'll be an early game on Saturday.
Scotty.
And so they're just going to decide in week 1 who is the second best team in the Big Ten, and we'll be able to crown that team by about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. On Saturday. LSU at UCLA. Is Bryan's team ready for Chip Kelly? I remember when Chip Kelly was considered a good coach.
Yeah,
it was a while ago.
Yeah, but he's finally kind of got things going about the right way. I know they had a big win against Hawaii. They looked good offensively. They still play with a lot of pace. You know, this is one of those things, one of these games that's really, if you talk about the matchup, it might be 50-50 on who can win this game. This is not, 2.5, LSU's given 2.5 in this game. LSU hasn't played a game. LSU had to pick up their entire operation, move it to Houston. So they practiced down in Houston to get ready for this football game. Those kids are playing with a lot on their minds. They're playing with a lot of pressure on them. They're really playing for the state of Louisiana. You know, and Ed Ogeron is going to play that up. Like not only are you playing for your school, you're playing for the whole state of Louisiana. And this is the first time that LSU's ever played in the Rose Bowl, which will be interesting too. The weather will probably be a little bit of a factor. It's like in the 90s right now there. So, LSU's used to living in these kinds of conditions, and hopefully they'll be able to hang in there. But UCLA's got some ability to run the football, and their offensive line's a veteran one. LSU needs to be ready for UCLA running the ball at them.